Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Top 5 Saturdays Live with me, Chase Lee, and my co-host,
Ryan Sutfield.
That's fucking right. And hey, listen, if you're new to the show, welcome. Hopefully I didn't scare you off too bad. And what we do on this show is we'll take a movie coming out on Friday, and we will honor said movie by making a top 5 list according to that, honoring, actors, actresses, directors, genres, types of films, specific little niches. Like it's crazy, like how far we can stretch the top 5 genre, and that's what we're here to do. So that's what we do. And the cool thing about the show is that it's live, so we have no idea what the hell is going to come out of our mouths, and we don't know each other's lists, so it makes it all the more fun to guess each other's picks. And of course, I got a whiteboard right here, and I will keep track of all of our picks and whatnot. And I will reveal to you both of our lists at the end of the show, so you can write them down and search those movies out. Brian, first before we get into our topic, how are we doing today?
I'm good. It's very cold outside here in Jersey right now as we speak, but we're getting winter weather right now, and it's the middle of the fall, but it's Jersey. Today's a good day. It's my father's birthday. Stevie Suggs turns 49 years old, so bravo to that. He's a good person for being a 49-year-old man.
Stevie Suggs sounds like a gangster. Like if Brian didn't even tell me like it was his father, it'd be like Stevie Suggs, man. I wouldn't want to fuck with him in an alleyway. So, happy birthday to Brian's father, and allowing me to have access to certain things. I appreciate that.
How are you, Chase?
It's okay. I'm doing okay. The weather here is Texas, so it could be a tsunami tomorrow and a blizzard in 2 hours. So that's how that shit rolls. But it's been an interesting week. It's Halloween week, guys. So happy Halloween. Next week's episode will be our first one in November. So there you go. So speaking of Halloween, we got a very spooky topic for you. Brian, what is it?
It's the spookiest topic of all. We are doing our top 5 films directed by actors. Very spooky.
Yeah, we totally we swindled you folks. We swindled you fans that are so loyal. This is by far the hardest list to ever come up with, because there are hundreds, and I mean hundreds of films out there to pick from, and it was hard to whittle it down to 5. And this is not anything new. This has been going on since Charlie Chaplin days. I mean, we had Charlie Chaplin direct, films like Modern Times and The Great Dictator, and then we had Marlon Brando do a lot of shit, Warren Beatty, Robert Redford, and then you get into the modern era and you have like a Ben Affleck, or Ron Howard's been going for a while, and then Clint Eastwood's been going for a while. I mean, this could span across many decades, and it's very interesting to see like where we take this and where we're going to put it on our list. But I actually have a way I'm going to do my list personally. But before we get to that, Brian, are you excited about this week's topic?
Oh, God, of course I am. See, the thing is with this particular topic, I've always appreciated whenever actors go out of their realm into directing. I mean, we've had some actors that start off specifically as actors and now has worked as a director. Specifically, a good example is Ron Howard. Of course, Ron Howard was big for being on the Andy Griffith Show, then Happy Days, and then in the 80s he started directing, and ever since then he's just been directing. He's been acting in little things, but now he's most known as a filmmaker. It's awesome to see actors' different talents, because like Ben Affleck showed everyone he could do different stuff. Mel Gibson, Kevin Costner, Zach Braff, Joe Gordon-Levitt, so many great people have transitioned into this format, and it's really awesome, and I'm really excited to talk about this topic, because this week American Pastoral expanded, and that's the directorial debut of Ewan McGregor, so it's like cool beans. That's awesome.
Yeah, and speaking of Ron Howard, the best thing he's done in modern times in terms of acting is the narration on Arrested Development, because that dry humor Ron Howard can deliver it perfectly. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this. And so I don't know how Brian's going to do his list, but here's how I'm going to do my list, because I'm going to have some very odd picks on here. The way I did this week was, well, first of all, I am a 90s kid, so I haven't seen many of the older films besides some Charlie Chaplin. Other than that, when you think of like a Robert Duvall, Robert Redford, Warren Beatty, Marlon Brando, like I said, I haven't seen any of those films, to be honest with you. So yes, I am a millennial, so I won't have any of those on my list. But the way I approached my list, and you're going to have a lot of modern takes, is films that surprised me. When you look at the director and you see his or her name and you go, I did not expect that to come out of you, and I love that movie for it. So my list is based on surprises in terms of the actor, knowing them in their past, and then seeing what they can do on the big screen and having that movie blow me away. So that's the way I approached this list. So like I said, I'm going to have some very odd picks, but I'll explain why. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get this started, guys. Top 5 films directed by actors on Top 5 Saturdays Live. So Brian, I have to ask you every single week, what is your number 5 favorite film directed by an actor of all time so far?
The year was 1988. This woman was best known for being on a very popular sitcom in the 70s. I don't think this was her directorial debut. It might have been. My number 5 is Big, which is directed by Penny Marshall.
All right. I do not have this one. So Brian, take it away.
I wanted to kind of go with a nice family film because Big is a fantastic film. I mean, obviously, everyone knows this as the film where Tom Hanks plays a boy inside of a human adult, and it's a great film. I mean, sure, it's hilarious as hell. Everyone does great. Obviously, Hanks is fantastic in the movie, and he got his first Oscar nomination for this. But there's a lot of heart to this movie because halfway through the movie, once he starts getting used to this, you don't know if he wants to go back to being a kid or not, and it's honestly really compelling. It's a great film. It's so funny. Obviously, all the other performances are great. Elizabeth Perkins, Robert Loggia, John Hurd, the kid. I forgot the friend's name. The friend's name, whatever his name is, I forgot. I feel so bad. Anyways, everyone's awesome in this movie. Penny Marshall did a great job directing this. Obviously, she started out her career by being on Laverne and Shirley, and that was created by her brother, the late Gary Marshall. And then obviously she started directing other films. Big is my favorite thing she's done, but I think the best film she's ever directed is Awakenings with Robert De Niro and Robin Williams. And then she also directed A League of Their Own with Tom Hanks, which is a great film. So yeah, Big, great film. That's my number 5.
Yeah, I haven't seen Big in a long time. I think for the very first time I saw it on television. And of course, how TV rolls, they like to edit and cut a lot of shit out. So I feel like I missed a lot of movies. So yeah, no, that's a great pick. Haven't seen it in a while, so I can't really comment anymore. My number 5, I'm going to go with a surprise from a Texas native. Now, I'm actually not going to reveal the director until I get done kind of introducing it. So for this film, my number 5, I did not know what to expect. I blind bought it at a pawn shop. I bought it because I heard a lot of people talk about it and say it was good, and I'm a huge fan of the McConaughey. So there's your first hint. I got the movie because I was in the middle of the reconnaissance, with like Killer Joe, Lincoln Lawyer, Mud, and all these type of movies that he's coming out with, and he's really delivering in all of them. I wanted to see some of his past movies that I may have forgotten. So I watched this movie on a random Wednesday night, I think, and I ended up loving it. It was a great kind of suspenseful thriller. I did not expect it out of this director whatsoever. It was very small, very contained, and it was just a very kind of intimate and creepy story. And my number 5 pick, I'm going to go with Frailty, and it's directed by none other than Bill Paxton. I did not know that Bill Paxton directed. When I got the movie, like I said, I got it from McConaughey, and Paxton is also in it, but I did not know he directed it. And this film surprised me on so many levels in terms of the way it was presented with tone and atmosphere. It was just dripping in that mood and that gothic nature, and I love it. It's just like that one movie you would kind of flip on the horror channel, and you would see it at like 2 a.m. and be like, what is this movie? And you end up actually kind of liking it. So my number 5 surprise film from a actor turned director would be Frailty from Bill Paxton. Brian, have you seen this one?
I have not.
Watch
I haven't
it.
heard of it until you brought it up.
Yeah, where's it at? Fuck. You know what the cover looks like, right?
No, I don't. I actually, like I said, I had never heard this movie until you told me about it.
Okay.
Just now.
Hold on. I will get this. I know we're live, but fuck it. I'm gonna get this. I need to get a movie set up show. Oh, there it is. Okay. This is what. Oh, professionalism, folks. All right, Brian. This is what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Like I said, I think it's just a really kind of great um, uh, murder mystery type of deal because it deals with like a serial killer and whatnot. I think you would like it quite a bit. It's like I said, kind of very underrated, just very small type of movie, but I really fucking love it. And look, Ebert is on the cover, first quote, 2 thumbs up, one of the best films of the year. So I ain't fucking lying. And this came out in 2001. So at this point, you know, Paxton has done films like a Titanic and like Aliens and did Twister come out already? Yeah, Twister already came out. So I mean, yeah, it's Bill Paxton. Like he's really fun to watch and stuff, but I did not expect him to turn out such a pretty underrated little horror gem. So that would be my number 5 pick. So Brian, what is your number 4?
Number 4, it's one of the best coming-of-age films ever made. I mean, it came out in 1986. It was also directed by an actor that starred in the very famous 70s sitcom. My number 4 is Stand By Me, directed by Rob Reiner. This film is so perfect. I mean, I honestly, kid you not, I've tried to make films in the veins of this. I love coming-of-age films, but Stand By Me, it just might be 3 coming-of-age films ever made. You got 4 great child performances from all these kids: Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, and Jerry O'Connell. They're all great. I mean, it's just a simple story. They go into the woods and find the body of a missing kid. And it's a great film. It's 90 minutes. I mean, there's so many enthralling sequences. One obviously being the train sequence, one being the sequence where they go through the lake and then they have all those like leeches on them. And then the first scene where they find the body, and it's like they encounter like the cruel Kiefer Sutherland in this movie, and it's like, ugh, why don't you go fuck your mother? Film, it's really heartbreaking. I love all these characters. They're all well realized, and you know, all of them just showed their true acting chops in this movie. Obviously, this was like right before Will Wheaton got his big break on Star Trek. This was when River Phoenix was a big deal. Corey Feldman had just done Gremlins and Goonies, and he was going to be in The Lost Boys, and then Jerry O'Connell, I think this was his first thing. So, yeah, it's these kids that make this movie great, and Rob Reiner's direction is nothing short of perfect. I think this is the best thing he's ever directed, alongside like When Harry Met Sally, Princess Bride, and A Few Good Men. Those are, I think, the 4 best things he's ever directed. Oh, and Misery. I completely forgot about that. I think this is my personal favorite thing he's done. I love it so much, and if you love coming-of-age films, you gotta check this one out. And it's also one of the best films adapted from a Stephen King novel, short story, whatever. Stand By Me. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. It just celebrated its 30th anniversary this year. Flawless film. 5 out of 5, A+ from me.
Yeah, that is a good pick. I will say, to tease you guys, I actually have a Reiner film on my list. Because the rule was that we can only pick one film from this director, or a director if we picked that director. So I went with a different route, but I think Stand By Me is one of the best Stephen King adaptations that we have, and it's not really a horror film. It's about these 4 kids in their youth or whatever discovering this horrific thing, and they have to deal with it. So yeah, it's a great pick. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Well, I like my Rob Reiner movie better, but we'll get to it. My number 4. So the year is 2004, and I go see this movie in theaters, and I actually think it's a pretty solid remake. That would be Dawn of the Dead, directed by Zack Snyder. Yeah, the Zack Snyder. I like the aspect of running zombies. I think it's actually more terrifying, and it actually provides for a better, like, enthralling, like, adrenaline experience than slow moving zombies. Sorry, Romero. But when I watched the remake, I was really entertained, and I also noticed that I didn't really know most of the actors besides Ving Rhames. Now, when the movie got done with, I actually started researching all the actors, and so I came across the main character, the blonde woman in the film, who leads the charge, and I was like, she hasn't really done much. She's kind of acted in some things, and she was also in the movie Splice, and I think that's a very fucked up kind of Frankenstein fucko world type of movie. And I've kind of enjoyed her presence. I get this movie. Stars Seth Rogen and Michelle Williams. And I watch it, and I go, oh my God, this might be one of the best films about a couple in its last final days, like splitting apart and having the wife or whatever having these fantasies of the neighbor, and she wants to cheat on her husband. And I just think it deals with the lust of infidelity, but also the consequences afterwards. And I think that's something we really haven't seen before. So my number 4 surprise film from an actor would be director Sarah Polley, who was in Dawn of the Dead and Splice. She directed Take This Waltz. I think it's a very just a very honest and real and genuine and tender movie. Like I said, about infidelity and just the urges that you have as a person to want to sleep with someone when your marriage isn't really going that well, and you're very unhappy, and that's not really the route you should go in life. And when you do, and you think everything's gonna be fine, but then you end up being in this cycle of a loveless marriage, even though you cheated on your husband, and you're basically doing the same damn thing. So I think it's a very kind of emotional film. Very underrated. No one ever talks about it. It's one of my favorite Seth Rogen films for sure. And Michelle Williams, fucking come on. And also a surprise person that's in it is Sarah Silverman. She does very well, and also very surprising, she has a full nude scene. Didn't expect that either. So this movie has tons of surprises. So, but I think it's a very good romance film, very devastating, and just kind of leaves you with a pit in your stomach at the end of it and stuff. Just fucking watch it. And there's one shot in it that still gets me to this day. It's a 360 runaround shot, and it actually uses that shot as a passage of time. And I think it's a very creative and kind of unique way to tell passage of time through this situation. So I thought that was really well handled. So very surprising film from this actor, because I've only seen 2 films of hers, Dawn of the Dead and Splice. She's not like the best actress in the world. She's fine. She's serviceable. But hot damn, I did not know she directed, and she directed this one out of the park. So this was my 4th surprising film directed by an actor. So Brian, have you seen this film? Will you finally fucking see it? Because I keep praising this movie.
Still haven't seen it. Sorry.
Wow. What the fuck's wrong with you? All right. All right.
Everything is wrong with me.
Yeah. Well, you know. All right. So going on to number 3, Brian, take it away.
This is going to be the most surprising pick on the entire list, because everyone's going to be like, why is this so high up that's above Stand By Me and Big? I'll try to tease this up. So I'm a big fan of comedies. Like, I love it whenever I see a good comedy on the big screen. And when someone like this helms the movie like this, it's like, wow, that's awesome. And sure, the movie just looked okay from the trailers and commercials, but when you watch the movie, it has so many smart themes to it, and just it's so well realized, it's so original that you're like, love it. My number 3 is Tropic Thunder, directed by Ben Stiller.
I will say this. That is in my honorable mentions. I cannot fault you for that pick. I think that is a fantastic comedy of the 2000s, and it is directed by the one and only Mr. Stiller. So, Brian, take it away.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger, and I remember seeing the poster for this everywhere I was going. It was 2008, a great summer. It was the same summer as like Pineapple Express, Iron Man, Dark Knight, lots of stuff. And I remember seeing this poster. It had Ben Stiller, Jack Black, and Robert Downey Jr., who I loved when I was younger. I mean, Jack Black, obviously, I grew up with School of Rock, Kung Fu Panda, all that stuff. Ben Stiller, I mean, I saw him in a few family comedies and stuff. And then Robert Downey Jr., obviously, Iron Man. And I was like, I want to see this movie. Oh, crap, it's rated R. Fuck life. Yeah, I said that when I was a little boy. Fuck life.
Fuck life.
So then when I had the opportunity to watch it, I watched it. I fell in love with it. This movie is so funny. It's so charming. It's so creative. Actually, no, why would I say charming? It's very vulgar. It's like, ugh, it's crazy. But everyone is on their A game in this movie. Obviously, you have Robert Downey Jr., who gave an Oscar-nominated performance in this movie, which is absolutely insane. But honestly, it is a fantastic performance. The writing is great. Ben Stiller co-wrote this with Justin Theroux,
Yes.
which is crazy to believe.
Fucking love that guy.
And Stiller directed this. I think this is my favorite thing that Stiller's directed. It's also probably the best thing he's ever directed because I love the crap out of Reality Bites so goddamn much. That's like out of the comedies, this is the best thing he's directed. In my opinion, I think Reality Bites might be the best film. But that being said, Tropic Thunder is still amazing. It's so, I mean, it's funny from beginning to end. The opening, the trailers in the beginning, then the actual movie itself is great. Then you got all these other great performances. Like I said, the three people, Stiller, Jack Black, and Robert Downey Jr. are all great. And you got the other members of the team, including Jay Baruchel, Brandon T. Jackson. Who's the sixth member of the team?
I forgot. It's been a while.
Yeah, I have to look that up. I'm sorry. This is live. I gotta do this shit.
After almost 100 episodes, we still don't keep this professional.
Let's see. No. Oh, it's just them 5. It's just them 5. All right.
So Brian was thinking of himself in the movie for some weird reason.
Yes, that is true. And then you got awesome, great supporting performances from Steve Coogan, Matthew McConaughey, Bill Hader, Nick Nolte, and of course, Tom Cruise. Okay, Tom Cruise, Les Grossman. I'm still waiting for that Les Grossman movie. Come on, Stiller, make that movie. Let's go. Let's just make it. Anything. It could be a 5-minute short. I don't care. Just make something with Les Grossman. That's one of Tom Cruise's best roles. Yes, Tropic Thunder. Fantastic comedy, one of the best of the last 10 years. It's my number 3.
Yeah, Tropic Thunder's got a lot of things going for it. It's a really great spoof on war films. It's a great spoof on Hollywood movies in general. It's a great movie about making a movie, and overall, it's just a really great comedy. So it's got a lot of things going for it, and it's just an overall rounded, entertaining experience and stuff. And I'm gonna say something pretty sacrilegious because it was the same year that came out as Iron Man. I liked Tropic Thunder more and his performance more than Iron Man. That was the best movie that he did that year. I mean, listen, I love me some Iron Man, but Tropic Thunder was something different that he's never really done before, and it threw me off guard. And I enjoyed every single second he was on screen. So, yeah, it's a great pick. In my honorable mentions, I might drop another Stiller directed movie that I actually really find underrated a bit. But, yeah, so my number 3. I'm going to go with Brian's number 1 because I'm not an idiot. I'm going to go with Garden State, directed by Mr. Zach Braff of the Scrubs fame. Listen, Mr. Brian Studfield, because he's going to start out with this story. He was harping on me for a long fucking time to watch this movie. Now, I bought Garden State and a blind buy because Brian would not shut up about it. So I got it for $6. It wasn't that bad. So I was like, if it's not that good, whatever. I didn't really waste that much money. So I watched it. Oh, wow. Holy shit. I remember I sat there in awe. I was like, just from a visual component and from a story component and characters and writing, I could not fucking believe the same dude from Scrubs directed this film. I could not fucking believe it. It almost reminded me it's like I don't know, it's like what am I trying to say? It's almost like the example independent film. Like you take a movie that has a small budget, it's got a couple of medium-sized names in it. Natalie Portman wasn't that big when that movie came out. I mean, yeah, she did stuff, but she wasn't huge. You get some medium-sized actors and you put them in this smaller film, make it more intimate, self-contained about these two characters kind of growing their relationship and whatnot. And you have such a visual kind of aesthetic to the film that kind of just makes the story stand out more and the characters stand out more. And it wasn't flat by any means. There was a lot of life to it, a lot of color and richness. I mean, there's really nothing more to say because I'm gonna let Brian take over when he talks about his number 1. But that is my number 3. I was just surprised. That was my third surprising film by an actor turned director. Is that you have this very comedically timed person who is very good at delivering dry comedy, very straight faced, yet he can turn out a very emotional piece. So I thought that was really well done. And plus, most comedians are actually really good at drama, anyways. When you look at the late great Robin Williams, the guy's a comedic mastermind, but you look at some of his dramatic work, the guy knocks it out of the park. So I actually had I have a lot more faith in comedians when they do dramas and stuff because I know they can probably pull it off. But Scrubs is a very good comedy, and it's one of Brian's favorite shows of all time. And I understand the comedy, and it's a very funny show. So you just would never think in a million years that someone like a Braff would do something like that. So that was a very surprising film for me in terms of an actor turned director. So that is my number 3. And now I know Brian's going to pass, so we're moving on. I'm not a moron. All right, so moving on to our top 2. This is going to be interesting because Brian has no idea what I'm going to go with. He has no idea what route I'm going to go, but I have a very good reason as to why I picked it. But until then, we will get to that. So, but for Brian's number 2, it is...
Okay, number 2. You know what's so weird about like this entire list? I keep picking people that are like all in sitcom stuff. I completely forgot to mention what Rob Reiner was in. Rob Reiner, for people who don't know, was in All in the Family. That was his first big thing. One of the best sitcoms ever created. Not one of my favorites personally. I haven't seen much of it, but from what I've seen, it's pretty damn funny. So this guy, I kind of teased him a little earlier when we started. It's Ron Howard, and obviously he got a big star as Obie Taylor on the Andy Griffith Show for about 10 years, and then like a few years later, he starred on one of my favorite sitcoms of all time, Happy Days, as Richie Cunningham. And about 8 years into the show, he decided to leave to pursue a career in directing, and he's produced not much, a lot. Actually, no, he's produced a lot of great stuff, some good stuff, some bad things. Unfortunately, the film that he had that came out this weekend is not doing very well, which is kind of sad. I mean, it looked really shitty. I feel bad for him, Tom Hanks, and Felicity Jones. I feel bad for all 3 of them. So with Ron Howard, he's done a lot. He's done comedies, dramas, big budgeted stuff. I mean, the last film we did before Inferno was a big budgeted film that did not do very well. I did not really care for his last film, but one of his best films, in my opinion, the best film he's ever directed. My number 2 favorite film directed by an actor is A Beautiful Mind.
I thought you were going to go with Apollo 13.
I prefer Beautiful Mind over Apollo 13. I love Apollo 13 a lot, but to me, A Beautiful Mind's the best thing he's ever directed. The reason why it's the best thing he's ever directed is because it's the most contained, it's the most heartbreaking film I think he's ever done. It stars Russell Crowe as a professor from Princeton who has some issues, mental issues, and I don't want to spoil it just in case you guys don't know anything. Yes, it's based on a true story, but I really don't want to go into it because I didn't know anything going into this movie. I just knew it had Russell Crowe and Jennifer Connelly, and it was directed by Ron Howard. What I love so much about this movie is mainly Russell Crowe. I think this is the best performance he's ever given in his whole career. I think he should have won the Oscar for this movie. Nothing against my boy Denzel for Training Day. That is one of my top 10 films of all time. But I think this is the better performance. I mean, when you watch Russell Crowe in this movie and you see what he's going through, you just feel for him so much. But at the same time, you're like, why is he doing what he's doing? But you realize it's because of the illness that he has inside. And it's really heartbreaking. I mean, there's a scene involving a bathtub that really kills the shit out of me. It's like, why and why and why? And then when you see him breaking down and in a hospital, it's like, oh shit, why? This guy is such a good guy. He shouldn't go through any of this. And he's a genius. Academically, he is smart as hell. But he has this illness and it's basically ruining him, and he has to get himself fixed. And then that's why he has his wife, who's played by the excellent Jennifer Connelly. She won an Oscar for this film. Well-deserving. I love the characters. I love the performances. I love the writing. It was written by Kevis Goldsman. He won the Oscar for writing this. And apparently this is the same guy who wrote Batman and Robin. So it's like, wow. Did not even realize that that guy could write something like this. And then obviously Ron Howard won Best Director and the film won Best Picture. It was very well deserving. Of course, everyone seems to criticize that Ron Howard won for Best Director because apparently David Lynch was nominated that year for Mulholland Drive, which I didn't even know. I didn't even know David Lynch actually got a nomination for that film. I had no idea. But I thought this was, in my personal opinion, the better film, like the more Oscar film. So it makes sense why this film went. I said in terms of the Academy. Okay. All right.
Brian, you fucking know how much I love Mulholland Drive. I mean,
I know. I don't hate it. Hey, I think it's a good ass film. It's not my favorite thing that he's made. My favorite thing is Eraserhead. That's my favorite thing he's done. But moving on.
I'll give you that.
We'll do a David Lynch episode in the future if he has anything coming out. But yeah, Beautiful Mind, easily my favorite thing that Ron Howard has done. I think it's just a perfect film. I mean, it's really heartbreaking, but it's so well done. And it was shot 90% chronologically, which is something that not a lot of filmmakers do nowadays. People always shoot out of order. Ron Howard decided, hey, I want to shoot chronologically, except for the other 10%. Yes, A Beautiful Mind, my number 2.
Yeah, that's a great pick. And I say that because I still need to see it. I have not seen A Beautiful Mind yet, but listen, I've been hearing so much about it. So many accolades from Mr. Crow and Mr. Howard and all of the people that worked on it and stuff. I will get to it eventually, and it'll probably be on my deathbed. So
at least you saw Cinderella, man.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, no, Brian was harping me on that one too. A blind buy at a pawn store for $1. Watched it, and now it's one of my favorite boxing films. Yeah. So my number 2. I'm going to go with a director that Brian has already picked. This is actually a surprise within a surprise. So let me explain. When I was a teenager, I watched a lot of older films and stuff, and I wanted to be more kind of accoladed to some of them. And a couple of them I do remember, or a few of them I remember watching. One was on TV, and 2 was by myself. The Princess Bride, Stand By Me, and on TV I watched When Harry Met Sally. Now, directed by Rob Reiner, which Brian said All in the Family. That's what he's known for. He did over 100 episodes on that bad boy. So when I watched Princess Bride, I was like, what a great kind of perfect romantic comedy you got going on. Stand By Me, what a great film about camaraderie between friends when something comes across them and they have to act upon it. Look at When Harry Met Sally. What a great little romance film. Rob Reiner, that seems to be your thing, right? I was fucking wrong. One of my favorite horror films of all time. I've seen it a million times. And guess what, guys? I was biologically programmed to like it anyways because it came out the same fucking year I was born. My number 2, surprising film because I had seen his romantic stuff and his romantic comedies. Great stuff by Mr. Reiner. But I think this is the best thing he's ever done. And it was a surprise within a surprise because I had no idea he could do horror. I got to go with Misery. Misery is fantastic. When you think about everything working for it in terms of the direction and how he captures that isolated type of feel, and you actually start going crazy as an audience member and you want James Caan to get out of this situation. When you think about the impeccable writing of 2 people in a location, essentially, like, yeah, there's other locations and stuff, but it's barely in there. It's mainly about Kathy Bates and James Caan's character, and it's really enthralling and it's filled with tension and stuff. The acting is incredible. James Caan, my word. Besides the angry father in Elf, I'm kidding. This is probably my favorite thing he's done. This is also my favorite thing Kathy Bates has ever done. So creepy, so disturbing. Oh, the scene where she cracks the ankles every single time gets me. And the movie is almost 30 years old, and it still fucking makes my skin crawl. But what a really great, isolated, tension-filled thriller. Something very surprising from Reiner because, like I said, I was just so used to his comedies and his romantic comedies. I had no fucking clue that he had horror chops. Now, he did, because of Stand By Me, have Stephen King chops. So maybe that was what kind of pursued him to take on Misery and whatnot. But still, Stand By Me and Misery two completely different films tonally. So I was thoroughly surprised by Mr. Reiner's horror attempt at Misery, and one of my favorite horror films of all time. One of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. So he definitely deserves my number 2 spot for surprising film directed by an actor. And Brian already mentioned it, so no reason to talk about. So moving on, guys.
Good fucking film. Good fucking film.
Yeah.
Love it. Great film. And I'm not even the big horror junkie. I'm starting to become one, but I love Misery so much. Like, so much. Khan is great, and Kathy Bates. I mean, it's crazy to believe that the Academy actually gave an Oscar to a performance in a horror film. Like, that's the great thing about this movie. I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, and then because Kathy Bates won for that movie, and then
Yes.
when did Silence of the Lambs come out?
The following year.
Really? Yeah. So it looked like for a brief moment in the 90s, the Academy actually liked horror films. So yeah. So Misery, if you guys have not seen it, is one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. It's really funny with Stephen King. Just real on a quick side note. Like, I love films like Misery. I even like the modern one, 1408, Stand By Me, The Green Mile. But then I actually have like guilty pleasures like The Langoliers. Have you guys ever seen that one? The fucking Langoliers. It is one of the, like, it's actually a really good premise, but the CGI and the acting and the writing is so awful that it's just, it's not really a good film, but it's really enjoyable. So Stephen King is kind of like a hit or miss for me, but and then of course, like The Shining and whatnot. So yeah, so many classics, but Misery is definitely top 3 for sure. So guys, moving on to our number 1. I already know Brian, so Brian's actually most anticipated for mine. And here's my reasoning. I'm going to go first, get it out of the way, because, Brian's going to take like 30 minutes to describe why he loves Garden State. So, all right, my number 1. And this is why I went with this pick. Now, I could have easily gone an Eastwood directed movie. I could have easily gone like a Howard directed movie. George Clooney, Mel Gibson, so many modern great films. Because like I told you, I am not that well versed in this topic, so I'm not going to pick older films. I'm going to be honest with you guys. The only like older film beyond 1990 that I've seen from an actor turned director is probably The Great Dictator from Charlie Chaplin. And I saw that in film school, loved it, but I haven't seen it in a long time to where I feel comfortable talking about it. I went with this pick because growing up, I actually like the guy. I think he was a really good comedic little actor. He just kind of sprinkled his way throughout movies and whatnot. And I never really associated him with like dramas or anything beyond the comedy genre. But then his personal life starts getting into like People magazine and stuff, and he just really comes across as like a douche. And I don't really understand like why people like him and stuff. And like, it's just his career was kind of going downward, making a lot of like really bad choices with films, and he was just kind of in movie jail for a long time. And then he does, a big blockbuster, and people revere it as like one of the worst in that genre. And then he kind of goes into hiding for a little bit. And then he comes out of his hibernation and he starts directing. Now, the very first film he directed, 2007, I was blown away by it. Didn't put himself in the movie, put his brother in the movie. And I was kind of just impressed at taking this kind of like rich and dark and disturbing story material from this book and turning it into a really just well-rounded little thriller. Then 2010 comes along. I sit in the theater, and I realize that he's directing it. So this is not really a surprise because I already saw Gone Baby Gone. There you go. There's your pick. I couldn't hide it anymore. Brian was trying to think. And I
figured when you said that he directed his brother, I knew who you were talking about immediately.
So the reason why I went with The Town as my number 1 pick for several reasons. Like I told you, growing up with the guy, I saw him in Mallrats. That was it. I didn't see Good Will Hunting, Chasing Amy, even Jay and Silent Bob until I was well into high school. But I did see Mallrats as a kid, and I was like, I mean, the guy's, I guess, got charm. So I didn't really know like what he had done prior. But then when you start dating Jennifer Lopez and you're in all these fucking magazines and tabloids, Then you do films like Giggly. I know it's Geely, but I call it Giggly. When you do films like that, and then you do films like Daredevil, your fucking career is tanking so goddamn fast that you cannot pull up from it. But like I said, he went into hiding. He comes back out, does a movie, directs it, does not put himself in it, and it's actually regarded as one of the best films that year. So when 2010 rolls around, I knew Ben Affleck was directing it, and I was interested because of Gone Girl. But putting himself in the movie and showing everyone and reminding everyone that he does have chops and that he can direct a really great heist film, a really interesting and compelling and intense crime thriller. When that movie ended, I said in the theater, and I still stand by it 6 years later, because obviously we see what he's doing with his career now, Ben Affleck will become one of the best directors in Hollywood today. And with films like Argo winning Best Picture, or being Batman in BVS, or being in The Accountant, and being and directing another one, Live by Night, and just seeing his career kind of flourish from where he started in the dark depths of somewhat good comedies and somewhat good ones and Kevin Smith movies and dating Jennifer Lopez and being in Daredevil. When you are at that far in the bottom, fucking dust, and you come back out and you emerge as one of the best directors that we have going on today, then sir, you have won the top spot for me, because that is the biggest surprise and the biggest turnaround that I have ever seen in any actor turned director. And that's why The Town is my number one pick, because it exceeded Gone Baby Gone in my opinion. He put himself in it, reminded everyone that he's really great. And you got to keep in mind, I still hadn't seen Good Will Hunting yet. Still hadn't seen it at this point. So, and then I started watching everything that he'd done in the past, and I was like, yeah, he's a good actor. He just made some shitty decisions, kind of like what Matthew McConaughey did. Very great in the beginning, very slumpy middle, and now he's back on top. That's why I went with Ben Affleck. The Town, really great heist film. One of my favorites of the 2010s so far. I think it's just a really entertaining movie. If you like action films, I would highly suggest this. I love all the performances in this. I think this is where Jeremy Renner shines the best. Ben Affleck and his chemistry are very well done. I'm not a huge fan of Blake Lively, but I think she was good for the small amount that she was in. And this actually prompted me to get excited more about Ben Affleck directed films, and that's why when Argo came out, I think Argo was solid. I liked it quite a bit, but I still think The Town is the best thing he's ever done. So when you have that turnaround from what you did in your past to that point, that's why that is my number one pick. So, Brian, I'm done. I'm spent.
Before I get into my number one, did not expect that. I know you love like the three films that the guys directed so far. I did not expect you to put it this high. I had no idea what you were going to do. I thought you were going to go with some comedy. I just thought you were going to go that way, or another horror film potentially, something like that. I love Affleck. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, since I went the more like kind of surprising route, and that's how I constructed my list, that was the most surprising. Because a lot of people I could have easily put Mystic River, because I love that film from Eastwood. But here's the deal: Eastwood was already put as one of the best actors of all time, so it wasn't surprising that he could make a good movie. Now, when he makes a movie and it comes out good, it's like, hey, Eastwood, good job. That's awesome. But it's not surprising for me because he was already in great films. Ron Howard, very well received on TV show or TV land shows with Happy Days and the Andy Griffith Show. So when he comes out with a movie, it's like, oh, it's Ron Howard. Like, he's had a great career. That's why I picked Ben Affleck, because he's had a slump and he came out victorious. That's why I went this route instead of picking something like a Mystic River or anything from Ron Howard, or hell, even something from Gibson, is because I think what Affleck done in terms of the whole 180 turnaround, that's more impressive to me than seeing already a good actor making a good movie like that. It's just like, cool, that's awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
okay.
I do. But to comment, I love Affleck. One of the best actors turned directors working today. Gone Baby Gone, amazing. The Town is probably my favorite thing he's done, because I love good like thrillers, action.
Boston.
You got me right there. See, Boston, just Boston. That's really it.
Fucking Boston.
You fucking, and then obviously now when you watch this movie, you're like, oh my god, it's Batman and Hawkeye. Wow, that's amazing. But yeah, awesome film. Awesome film. Yes. Yes, my number one is Garden State. Look, I mean,
a fucking shock.
Absolute shock. The biggest shock of all time. Okay, look, in all seriousness, we have an opportunity to bring up this film. It's always going to be number one. It's always going to be number one. I'm sorry. It's my third favorite film ever made. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Look, is it the best film directed by an actor? If I had to be serious, no, probably not. But it's my favorite film directed by an actor, and here's why. Zach Braff was just on Scrubs. The Scrubs was his first thing. Everyone knew him as JD on Scrubs. And, you know, like Chase says, yes, it's a very funny show. It is it's probably my favorite comedy show of all time. But the thing is, when you look into that show more, there's a lot of drama in it. It is a very drama-lifted show. Like, it's not a sitcom. Yes, it's a half-hour long, but there's no live studio audience. It's just filmed. You don't hear any laughter in the background. Those are my favorite kind of comedies. Like, I love whenever comedy shows don't have the live studio audience. I feel like that kind of takes it away sometimes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, with The Office and Parks and Rec and 30 Rock, I'm basically listening to everything that was on NBC. But no, like, shows like that, those are the best kinds of comedies because the laughter kind of makes it, the use of no laughter makes it better. So when Garden State came out, I mean, obviously I was a little kid, so I didn't know anything about this. This was actually filmed 10 minutes away from my campus, so that's actually a really awesome thing. So I remember when I first watched Scrubs, like about 8 years ago, and I remember looking at Zach Braff's career because the only one I really knew before I started watching the show was Donald Faison, who played Turk. And the only reason why I knew him is because of one of my childhood favorite films, Big Fat Liar. And yeah, so I was looking at this and I'm like, wow, he directed. I should check this movie out. Oh wait, it's rated R. Fuck life. So then when I had the opportunity, I watched it and I fell in love with it. I mean, not only it does it take place here, it's just a great film, and it's so relatable. It's like a semi-autobiography for Zach Braff. And I have a quote pulled up that he wrote basically when this movie came out. He's like, when I wrote Garden State, I was completely depressed, waiting tables, and lonesome as I ever been in my life. The script was a way for me to articulate what I was feeling, alone, isolated, a dime a dozen, and homesick for a place that didn't even exist. I mean, when you watch the movie, you totally see that going into the movie. I mean, his character is Andrew Watchman. We talked about this movie a few weeks ago on our Fox Searchlight episode, but I'll just say this again. Like the most depressed human being ever when the movie begins. It is literally the saddest thing ever. He's just waiting tables at this restaurant. He's trying to become this really prolific actor, and he gets a call from his father saying, oh, your mom passed away last night. So he has to fly home to his home in New Jersey. He hasn't been home in almost 10 years, basically 10 years. And, I mean, he basically learns who he is in this movie, and it's a fantastic movie. But Zach Braff, this is like the true definition of an indie film. And the budget, the shots, the writing, the directing, the characters, everything just works out so well in this movie. And you can tell that Zach Braff has a really great eye for filmmaking. And I mean, I'm always excited to see whatever he does. I loved Wish I Was Here personally. I thought that was a really criminally underrated film, and I cannot wait for his next film, Going in Style, with Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, and Alan Arkin. It sounds pretty awesome. I just hope it's not shit because Zach Braff, I think, is a very talented dude. I mean, Scrubs, honestly, he's fantastic in that. He's even been good in stuff outside Scrubs, like The Last Kiss. He was even good in that Oz the Great and Powerful, and he's been in a bunch of other stuff too. And yeah, I just think it was so unexpected, like Chase brought up earlier, because he's on a comedy show where he's like the funniest guy ever, and then you see him in this movie and you're like, not only do I see his true chops as an actor, but also as a writer and director. And I just love whenever people are that passionate about filmmaking. You could tell that this guy was so passionate about filmmaking. That's why he made this film. I love every second of it. I think Garden State is my favorite film done by a director. I just think that when you have that much passion, not only as an actor, but also as a filmmaker, then you really are a great person in the world of film. Garden State is my number one.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, so that will do it for this week's episode, guys. Here is our list. Very diverse indeed, but I recommend all of these films. Yeah, some things I haven't even seen in a while, and I might be tempted to watch them. But yeah, so what about you guys? What are some of your favorite films directed by actors that you would like to throw down in the comment section? Go ahead and do that and let us know, and I will be glad to read them on next week's episode. I want to start doing that. If you guys leave comments, I'll read them on next week's episode. Yeah, so with that, but just because we have a top 5 doesn't mean we didn't have any that didn't make it. I'll just run by a few real fast that I was looking up his research and stuff while I was doing this. Kenneth Branagh. I don't really care for most of his films. I actually didn't mind the Robert De Niro Frankenstein. So yeah, fuck the haters, right? For Seth Rogen. This is the end. I think This Is the End will go down as one of the best cult comedies of 2013. Mark my words. I will actually put something kind of recent. I think Peter Berg created a classic before our eyes. I really love Deepwater Horizon quite a bit. I think it's going to really kind of be a really well-told, true story disaster film. Mystic River from Clint Eastwood, $1 Million Baby. I'm not really a Western fan, so I haven't really seen Unforgiven yet. I really love Gran Torino. If we're going to Ron Howard, Apollo 13. He's got some worse ones. Yeah, I'd probably say Apollo 13 is my favorite of Mr. Howard's. Sylvester Stallone, Rocky Balboa. That was my first ever Rocky film, and I was actually kind of blown away that someone like a Stallone, who was an 80s action star and who did boxing films like a Rocky and who was in First Blood with Rambo and whatnot, I was really surprised that he pulled out an emotional fucking movie like that. And speaking of Affleck's, I really like Casey Affleck's directorial debut, that mockumentary, I'm Still Here with Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, I know it's kind of weird, but I kind of enjoy it. Let's see, going to Gibson. I do like Braveheart. I think Braveheart's a very well done kind of epic film. Let's see, guys. I mean, there's a lot of fucking people that have turned from actor into director, and it's just kind of hard to kind of pinpoint, like, some good ones. Like I said, because I am a millennial, I'm stupid. I haven't seen any old ones besides some Charlie Chaplin. So, Ben Stiller. Let's end with him, and then I'll let Brian do his honorable mentions. I'm actually on the opposite. I really love Tropic Thunder. My favorite he's ever done is Cable Guy. I think Cable Guy. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting kind of dark, depressing movie. So, I mean, it's like a dark comedy, and Jim Carrey's character is very depressing. But yeah, I actually like Cable Guy more. Wow. So I know it's kind of unpopular. So yeah, listen, guys, there are thousands of them out there, but those are the ones that kind of just come off the top of my head, just without looking at any list or whatever. So yeah, Brian, what about you? What are some of the ones that just barely escaped your list?
Oh God, there's so many. But the thing for me, I didn't want to list so many for particular directors, so I just decided to list one per director. For Jon Favreau, I was gonna go with Iron Man, but my favorite thing he's done is Elf.
Yes, I agree.
George Clooney, Ides of March. Chase knows how much I love that film. Every time that comes up, I always bring it up. For Kevin Costner, I'll go with Dances with Wolves. Mel Gibson, Braveheart, easily. Clint Eastwood, Mystic River, also my favorite thing he's directed. Sean Penn, really like Into the Wild, good fucking film.
Yes.
Ben Affleck, The Town, obviously. For Stallone, I mentioned every Rocky film he directed. My favorite that he directed is probably 3, because that's my favorite sequel of the original 6. Now Creed, the first one's still my favorite one. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Don John, awesome romantic comedy. A Bill Paxton movie that's actually criminally underrated. It's with Shia LaBeouf. It's called The Greatest Game Ever Played. A movie about golf. And I didn't think I would like a movie about golf, but I did. And
hey, well, since you brought him up, now you need to watch Frailty.
I do need to watch that movie. Now, the only older movie I put on the list is Singing in the Rain. Gene Kelly directed that. So I put that on there. Tom Hanks for That Thing You Do. Really awesome, like Beatles-like film. This Is the End for Seth Rogen as well. Antoine Fisher for Denzel. always bring that one up. Everything, and I'm so excited for Fences. Cannot fucking wait for that film.
Yes.
And then the last thing I will talk about is a very recent one. I don't know if Chase saw this, and I think you said it was just okay. I don't know why. I was so surprised by Top 5, which was directed by Chris Rock. Did you see that one?
I actually listen. I think Chris Rock as a director is improving, but I actually thought I Think I Love My Wife. I like that one more than Top 5.
Did you like Top 5?
It was fine.
Okay, that's it. Because I didn't know if I had to, like, I looked up Woody Allen, and apparently this first year he acted, the following year he directed, so I don't think that counts. But if I wanted to say my favorite Woody Allen film, it'd be Midnight in Paris.
I will agree for modern Allen, either that or Blue Jasmine, and then old school Allen, I'd probably go Annie Hall. So yeah, no, those are some great picks. Like I said, guys, we could sit here for 3 hours and list like movies from actors turned directors, but we simply do not have the time, ladies and gentlemen. We have shit to do. We have shit to do, and that's how it rolls. All right, for some dishonorable mentions, going back to the directors I just praised. Ben Stiller, Zoolander 2, Ron Howard, Ron Howard, Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. Fuck, who did I bring up? Peter Berg, Battle Shit.
The only bad thing he's ever made. That's the only bad thing he's ever done.
I know that's the only bad thing he's done. For Stallone, I know they're fun. I really don't care for the Expendable movies. I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Ooh. What else?
Ooh.
Brian, start listening to some, and I'll see if my head can rattle.
One thing I can think of. Star Trek 5, directed by William Shatner.
Oh yeah. Listen, I never saw that one, but I've heard that one's like the worst one.
I forgot. Oh God, Star Trek 3. That's an honorable mention. Leonard Nimoy, The Search for Spock. Fucking awesome film. Completely forgot to bring that up. I can't think of any worse. I'm trying to look them up, but it's like I can't find any. It's like really hard. I'm
trying. There's a few out there. I won't say this is bad, but I mean, no, actually, I like it as a childhood favorite. I was gonna say Danny DeVito for Matilda.
I'm like the only kid my age that doesn't like Matilda.
So okay, there you go. There's one for you.
I don't hate it. It's just the love for it. I never understood. From kids my age, I never understood the love for it. I'm like, it's okay, I guess. I love DeVito in it, and yeah, he directed it. Not too bad. It's just I don't.
So there you go. There's one of yours. So yeah. I mean, guys, this is fucking tough. Like I'm rattling so many through my head right now. I think I'm just gonna end with that. Just some of the ones I mentioned previously and whatnot. So, yeah. So, what about you guys? What are some of the worst ones that you dislike from actors turned directors? I would like to know. And that place is Rebel in my face. All right, Brian, what are we doing next week?
Next week, Doctor Strange comes out. Unfortunately, we have yet to honor Cumberbatch, but we're not going to honor him next week. We're going to wait a little while until he has his next big thing come out. So next week, we're honoring the film's female lead, Rachel McAdams.
This is going to be so fucking sappy because there's going to be so many goddamn romance movies. I won't even know what to do with myself. Actually, you know what's really funny is that a lot of people are probably going to assume the movie that she's known for. But as a guy with a dick and balls, I might go the opposite of one of the ones that she's in. I don't know. I'll have to sit and think about it. But listen, McAdams to me is still kind of new. She's still kind of fresh in Hollywood and stuff. I still don't consider her like established yet. But she's really got some good kind of small little hits, and some of them have cult followings. And so I'm really excited to talk about McAdams. What about you?
I'm excited. I love McAdams a lot. She's one of my crushes in Hollywood. I love the crap out of her, and I cannot wait to talk about her.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how many romance films of hers that we will put on our list because she's in so fucking many of them. So, yeah, that will do it this week, guys, for Top 5 Saturdays Live. Top 5 films done by actors turned directors and all that stuff. Comment in place for my face, let me know, and I will reveal your answers on next week's show. That will be a lot of fun. So if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's @RealChaseLee. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to get up to date on when we do these shows live, and of course my podcast every Sunday. Brian, what about you? Where can the kids find your ass?
You can find me on Twitter at Brian Sunday and on YouTube at Brian Suffield. I do a podcast. It airs every Thursday, the Real Cinephiles Movie Podcast. I also just started a reaction channel called Preview Party. So yeah, check that shit out. But definitely subscribe to my channel the most. Please. Thank you. Have a good day.
So what Brian just said, fuck my everything, go subscribe to him. Well, that's actually true though, because his channel is growing faster than mine. So
I wouldn't say that.
Oh yes, it is. He is definitely winning farther than me percentage wise. So, but yeah, that's all fine and dandy as long as we have this show, right? So, yeah, that will do it for this week's episode of Top 5 Saturdays Live. Have a good day, good night, whenever the hell you're listening to this. You guys are fucking awesome. Peace out.